Funky Politics, powered by MLGW, Memphis Light, Gas, and Water.
Can't get enough. Oh, that funky stuff.
You're listening to Funky Politics, powered by the Kazukia Network. DC sitting in the chair right here, right along with Doc Ward. How we doing, Doc?
Man, I love this next guest. My sister, man.
Your sister?
Yeah.
She's
My sister and so
pretty
many,
cool sister.
So many different things.
Yeah, pretty cool sister.
Yeah.
You know who we got?
Yeah, I know who you got. My sister.
Downey. I don't think she claims you.
Yeah, I know who we got.
Tasha Downey, Director of Advocacy for the Memphis Education Fund. Tasha, how are you?
I'm well.
And guess what? Just as a special add-on bonus, LLamar sitting in with us. She is the policy associate.
Special add-on bonus.
Yeah, she's an add-on bonus. She's
like
just here.
extra credit.
Extra credit.
Yeah.
She brings the facts with us. She's a policy associate with Sister Reach. Hello, London. How are you?
Hey.
Hey, I like that. Oh, Tasha, so many things. You can talk about so many things. Now, we just like to hear you talk a lot of times. But now, we're going to get right away to one point, and that is the education of our young people in terms of not only just in the classroom, but in life as well.
Man, you're fumbling too much. Sometimes I just got to take it over.
You know how it is when we start talking about this subject.
I'm trying to use a term other than sex education.
A very serious problem in our community, and a lot of urban communities, but particularly in the one where we record, of STD amongst men, HIV amongst men predominantly, and in youth. And one of the issues that's affecting it is the lack of sexual education as a part of our curriculum. Am I getting this right?
That is so nice of you to say that.
Okay, and the need for us to have an agenda and a curriculum that focuses on that. Now, before people say, yeah, whatever, I think you got some stats. You or London have some stats about this that show, just how serious an issue this is, right?
Yeah, I have the stats that London passed to me.
Oh,
which
she
is
passed
good.
them to you?
So I'm going to read them off, and if they're wrong, London can tell me they're wrong.
Roll them out.
And so one of the things that's really interesting. So you guys asked me to talk about education issues, and one of the things that was a huge thing for me at the beginning of this year was really focusing on the needs here in Shelby County are really around health and wealth. And so a lot of my professional and personal interest has been focused on issues of public health and wealth building in the community. And so there was a recent article on the cover of the New York Times Magazine that talked about in the South, HIV infection rates are going up dramatically, and that they are starting to rival those of third world countries. On the precipice of the state of Mississippi defunding defunding testing for HIV infection. And so, of course, then the conversation has been ongoing about what that means for Shelby County. Sure. We had a recent decision before the Shelby County Commission about whether or not they would continue the condom distribution program through Planned Parenthood, where we had legislators or policymakers actually debating whether or not they would continue to fund the program, even though it doesn't even, deal with any of the other issues that Planned Parenthood manages in terms of distribution of birth control pills or terminating pregnancies or any of those things. Right. The whole conversation was whether or not we should give out condoms, and there was actually a debate. And so for me, that was crazy talk. Sure. In a county here in Shelby County where we have our rates of HIV, gonorrhea, chlamydia are double the national average among youth, where 80% of teen moms here in this county live below the poverty level, where 69% of people in Shelby County with HIV are men and 31% are women. And then 82% of HIV infected folk here are African American or Black, 2% are Latino Hispanic, and 13% are white. And then I just have a real issue living in a state where we think the only way to teach sexual education is to tell young people to abstain and not giving them adequate information. So the facts show us that they are not abstaining. And so comprehensive sex education helps young people make better decisions and be better informed.
But if you have these local school boards like we have in Shelby County, can they not say, look, it could be a local mandate if we have to get the local dollars from the commission and the state won't fund it, but we've got to teach this to our young people. Isn't there some level of sex education being taught in our local school district now? Londa?
Abstinence-based. For right now, abstinence-based education is a state law. Right now,
Abstinence-based?
It's a state law. They cannot supersede the state law. Right now, the state law has it where if a teacher gives scientific-based sexual education to a student, they will be fined $500 per student that they educate about their sexual health outside of saying just don't do it. So right now we only have a state government that's very, very conservative and pushing religious principles on other people, but you also have it where they're almost criminalizing teachers who want to help students. Students can't go to their teachers and ask for help if they feel like they got an STI or a issue going on. They may be pregnant or they thinking about sex. When you got over 50% of Shelby County students have reported that they have engaged in sexual activity, and then of those, 25% have reported that they have engaged with more than 4 people. And then you have it where our 15 to 19-year-olds in Shelby County have the highest rates of STIs in the country. We have an epidemic that's going on in Shelby County, and it's an injustice that our state legislature is pushing religious ideologies on us, and what they're doing is killing our kids and killing our communities when we are again being plagued with these infectious diseases. And let's not even take it further. Tosha brought emphasis on Planned Parenthood, who not only have this condom distribution program, which my organization, Sister Reach, receives our condoms that we distribute out to our Black communities and our brown communities. So we not only are a direct effect of their lack of empathy to give us the resources we need, but even more than that, clinics like Planned Parenthood, which just opened its second location, give screenings for cancer, and they do STI testing for folks, and they are able to give reproductive health. Low
sliding scale for mostly uninsured women.
Absolutely.
And so let me ask you this, Natasha. So why is it that Planned Parenthood is the poster child for everything that's wrong, that the conservative community, let's call it the religious right, the neoconservatives, they say it's wrong with America? Because all of these abortions that are happening, it's because Planned Parenthood is letting these ladies run in there.
There's only 3% of their services, let's be clear. Planned Parenthood is not the abortion clinic. And I think that has been, because they've been in the game the longest, Planned Parenthood has been around for decades and decades of pushing this, the women's reproductive health movement. I think they have automatically become the poster child. But it's not just Planned Parenthood out there. You got Sister Reach and other organizations pushing for the reproductive autonomy for women and girls of color, poor women and rural women, because those are the ones that are suffering. And at this point, I think that what we have to do is put pressure on our parents and community members to demand better education for their kids, because they're dying. 30% of parents feel uncomfortable. Only 30% of parents feel comfortable talking to their kids about sexual health. And I remember when I told my mom, I was 17 years old, I put it out there when I was like, oh, Mom, I think I did it. She didn't talk to me for 3 days. That didn't help. That wasn't no education. And there's so many kids who are looking for other forms of ways to educate themselves, and it's not proper, because we have not properly educated ourselves on how to talk to our kids. The reality is kids are engaging in sexual activity. And I think it's a way to, if we don't talk to our kids, we're going to perpetuate teen pregnancy. Right now, our teen pregnancy rate is still double the national average. So
in a decade in which all across the country, people have seen their teen pregnancy rates plummet.
Is that right?
In the state of Tennessee, we still have very high percentages of both rural and urban teens who are experiencing.
But they're saying here in Shelby County that our numbers have gone down.
They've gone down, but they're still higher than national
wow.
But our STI rates have gone up. Teen pregnancy has gone down, but STI rates are going up.
That's not what I'm hearing out of the Shelby County administration, because the folks over the health department says, well, the numbers of teen pregnancy is way down.
They're down.
But they never tell you it's way down to 70% now.
And they're down by about 46%, right?
Yeah.
But when you talk about the long-term impact of pregnancy, of teenage pregnancy in particular, you're talking about infant mortality rates, but then when you talk about a woman's ability, the single factor for poor women to have the capacity to escape poverty is to have control over their reproductive health.
Absolutely.
And what we see is when you can delay birth into your early mid-20s, you are 80% more likely to be able to escape poverty.
Wow.
So just giving young women the capacity to receive access and information to free or low-cost birth control changes the trajectory of their life.
And also an education, a real education.
Exactly.
In a real into sexual, I won't say sexual activity, but that's what it is.
You're listening to Funky Politics, powered by the Kazukia Network.
Can't get enough. All that funky stuff. Can't get enough. I try.
If I don't find something soon, my lights are going to get turned off.
How am I going to cook for these guys with no power?
I've already applied for so many jobs. I hope I can get this one so I can pay my utility bill.
What's this? Well, there's the perfect way to help my family and friends. Help someone you care about through MLGW's Gift of Comfort program.
In our studio today, we've got Shelby County Mayor Mark Luttrell.
Thank you so much for the invite.
Thank you for accepting it, because you know that you could have been doing a bunch of other things.
You know,
but you're hanging out here getting funky with us. That's
and you know, it's interesting you say that, because the first time I was invited to be on this show, I didn't know what to expect. A little bit scared of what I was getting into, but you all are solid. You're real, and I appreciate the way that you handle this. I enjoy just pulling up your interviews and reading back over and listening to them and just learning a lot about the city.
So understand that the mayor is a fan of Funky Politics.
Powered by the Kazukia Network.
The executive director of the NBA Players Association, Ms. Michelle Roberts.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
He is currently managing director and chairman of USA Basketball, Mr. Jerry Colangelo, with us here on R&R on Sports.
Thank you, guys. Nice to be with you.
The one, the only, Detlef Shrimp.
Hey, Howard and Larry, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be on the show.
Ken Griffey Jr., how are you today, sir?
I'm good. How about you guys?
Catch Eye Conversation on R&R on Sports, part of the Kazukia Network.